Dwayne, there's been a lot going on off the pitch this summer. How have preparations gone for you pre-season?
Well, obviously the rugby side of things, has been taking care of itself, but it's been fairly straightforward from a pre-season perspective. Feels like a long pre-season, if I'm honest with you. We came in on July 7th as staff, July 14th, so it's as much as it's gone quickly, it feels like a long time, and looking forward to get into it now. It's always the last couple of weeks, I think, drags a bit because you're physically ready to go, and then it's that last sort of preparation, so it's about managing that properly. Yeah, and I think we're in a good spot. A couple of boys come back to training last week or two, so which has obviously boosted us a bit as well. Like some Max Douglas, Johnny Williams, etc. We've been carrying bumps through pre-season, or Max for longer. So nice to get him back in the mix as well.
Are you happy with the squad that you've assembled? Do you think you've got a squad capable of making the playoffs again, competing in Europe's top tier?
Look, that's the intention. I think that we had a fair bit of momentum coming into the off season, obviously from the end of last season, and it's important that we carry that on. Obviously, it's a fresh start and a new season, obviously on Saturday. But I think from the feeling of the boys, I think that you taste a bit of momentum, you taste a bit of success, you want a bit more, and I think that it's an exciting season for us really in many ways as well, because Heineken Cup is probably something that we have, not Heineken Cup, Champions Cup, sorry, is something that we haven't been in for 3 years now, and got a strong tradition as a club, and it's always, for us as a team, you work hard for that, you work hard for the season to make that competition, so looking forward to enjoying that. Also for the fans as well. I think it's awesome. We get to get up to Saints this year, get to go to Bordeaux, and obviously Bristol at home will carry a lot of crowd as well, I'm sure. So it's an exciting couple of months ahead for us.
The fans are looking forward to seeing the likes of Jake Ball, Joe Hawkins at the Parc. I mean, how have they gone in pre-season?
No, they've been good. I've been really impressed with them. Our new signings, I think that we're speaking about those two guys. Obviously, Jake brings a lot of experience. He's quiet in his way really, but gets about his work in the way he does. I hadn't worked with him before, so it was he's been a pleasure really to work with. Gets on with his work, works hard, and Joe is someone who I've been impressed with in terms of his mentality. If I'm honest with you, I think he's got a calm head on young shoulders. Really, you forget how young he is. He's still a young man, and I think that he's been good. He's been very good in terms of leadership and also in training. You've got some lovely touches around him, so I think it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing him go really in competitive match this week.
A few casualties from the warm-up game against Dragons. Is Blair Murray, Tristan Davis, Jake, Harry Thomas, are they in contention for the weekend?
Yeah, they're in contention. Yeah, so they're all pretty good. Like I said, obviously that pre-season games is always a bit of watch it with one eye open really, because you don't want to pick up any injuries. Last year we lost 4 or 5 in the Saracens game a week before, so hence probably a bit of a reaction to not play a game last weekend for us. To have 2 weeks to build up into the first game, but no, they're all pretty good, and like I said, a couple of long-term injured guys starting to come back into the mix now as well, as Max Douglas and Johnny Wills, who hasn't had much rugby this pre-season, but be good to get those boys back in the fold.
As I mentioned there's been a lot going on with the WRU consultation. I mean, how have you and the players coped with the uncertainty surrounding the region going into the start of the new URC?
Yeah, look, undoubtedly there's uncertainty in the game. We can't hide from that at the minute. We haven't hid from it. I think there's 2 things for me: the certainty and clarity, and I think that. And so we haven't got much certainty, right? And there's consultation going on, there's things that are out of our control, but from a clarity perspective, all we can do is try and be as upfront and as honest to where the information we've had, information of the process that's going on, the consultation, and clarity in terms of the way we want to approach the season. That's what we focused on. I think you can waste all your energy worrying about the uncertainty, and look, there is going to be elements of anxiety undoubtedly across the game, and every fan, every player, every coach, every staff member of this club, and also the other 4 regions are going to be feeling the same. But there's much clarity as we can give to the team, and we've got a job to do on Saturday, and to be fair, the boys have been brilliant with us. You know, I think like they've obviously got WRPA union that they lead their players consultation through, but from a leadership perspective, you know, the likes of Josh and Ryan Elias, who are our senior leaders in that group, I think they've managed the group really well.
There's a big march planned down here on Saturday. I mean, have you felt the support from the fans, the love around Llanelli for this region?
I think I felt it, you know, forever really, is the truth of it, you know, and that's for me is, you know, the big thing around this club. You know, I think it's the heart of the community, and you know, everything west of here is Scarlet through and through, and it has been since, you know, the times we were at Straddy Park, and you know, I was a kid, and long before that, you know, like obviously we got Grav's picture up here and some memorabilia, and I think you can, you know, that is what this club has been built on, and I think that, you know, that so I'm not surprised around the march and the feel and the love now, because it's always been there for me.
Can you imagine Llanelli without having the Scarlets?
I can't imagine Welsh rugby without it, to be honest. It is the honest truth of it, because I feel that strongly, that it's been, you know, a pivotal club and an entity in our country really. So that's my position on it. I think, you know, there's obviously consultations going forward, but you know, for me, I think we as Scarlets need to be part of that.
Look ahead then for the weekend, Munster. I mean, how important is it that you hit the ground running and make the park a place that's very easy?
Look, it's an important one this year, I feel, because you know, we need to, as I said, we need to try and carry that momentum a bit. And I know we've been broken up, but I think that the first period of any season is important. I think last year we had a draw in Treviso, and then we lost 2 on the bounce, and then it was. We were forced in a position at the end of the year, which we did well, to chase a bit. And you know, the sides who are getting starts in the league, and then you can carry the momentum into Christmas and the derbies, etc. I think that massively benefits you later on in the season. So for us, our intention obviously is to keep, you know, to qualify for the playoffs, and you know, in order to do that, we need to hit the ground running, like you said in the first block. Then it is important that you don't have to chase later on in the season.
Are there any younger players who perhaps aren't household names that you're expecting a lot from this season, that by the end of the season fans might, you know, there might be the names on everyone's lips? Yeah,
look, I think that if you look at our squad, the names are on everyone's lips at the minute are people like Max Page, Blair Murray, but these are still young guys as well. So I don't think, like, in terms of young guys, I see them as young guys, you know. It's hard to think that Costy's still only 23. Just as he turned 24, yeah, 23, 24. But you know, these guys are still young guys, and below that level, I think we've got a crop of good players coming through, who have already been in the SRC. Oshan Williams is one who's played with us in pre-season. Dominic Cassuth is someone that people have talked about, played very well for Llanelli over the last couple of weeks. So those type of players for me are going to be, you know, I'm sure we'll get opportunities this year. You know, and then it's up to them to push on and push on through really. But from a young perspective, you know, you got your likes of Joe Hawkins, you've got your Archie Hugheses, you know, Kemsley Mathias was a young man for a prop as well. These guys are, you know, going to be, you know, good. I'm sure they'll have good seasons this year.
And just in terms of potentially making the playoffs again, which I assume is the aim. What's going to be the key to that? What areas do you perhaps need to improve again on from last season?
I think keeping consistency. I think that's important for us. I think that we had a level of compete last year, which I've spoken about a lot. That is our goal for last season. We wanted to compete, and that, you know, sounds obvious in itself, but it's competing in every part of the game. You know, if it's kick chasing, if it's ball on the floor, if it's set piece, and obviously the attack and defence elements go with that. But I think that level of compete is what's going to be a foundation for what we go forward with. So I'll be hammering that as much as we can. And I think, you know, obviously we have to be, when opportunities arise, we've got to be clinical. And I think that there's a couple of games last year probably we weren't quite as clinical as I'd like us to be, but you know, that's the next step forward for us now. And that comes a lot with confidence as well. You know, young boys coming together. I think that this year, I think we've, you know, we can really gel and move forward there.
Cheers.
Dwayne, if you're a member here, a Scarlets member, season ticket holder, whatever, you come through good times and bad. They're always here. If you're more of a casual fan, it often depends on mood, on vibe of being here. And last year, you all worked very hard to get a good mood on the field. Are you worried that what's going on off the field undermines that vibe?
Am I worried? Look, there's obviously, like I said, Graham, there is uncertainty in the game. Am I worried about the vibe? And no, because I think what I feel about the club and what people around here feel about the club is they'll unite behind it. And you're right to say, you know, in I want to say normal seasons, you know, the mood is very much determined around performance and your compete or your wins and your losses, and you know, and I think I understand that, but you know, is the situation different now? Am I worried about it? No, because I think in times of need that they've been there, you know, everyone's been there for this club. So that's something that I think that I feel very strongly about, is that, you know, we do well and we have a big European run here, and you can definitely tell, you know, the swell, and you know, you've been here yourself on big European nights, on big games. Even towards the end of last season, I felt we had that. So I think when we need it, I think they're there for us, and that's how I see it.
Yeah, a good start would help that, though, wouldn't it? Undoubtedly. I think that, like I said earlier, I think momentum going into the season, you know, it's like a snowball effect. I think it grows and grows and grows, and then, you know, people want to see a successful side, and people want to see a side who want to compete hard for each other, and I think that's definitely the goal, and always has been the goal at this club. And you know, since I've been here, that's what I've wanted, to build a squad that I think we can compete with. You know, do I think we're off where we need to be, you know, in the long term, but I think we're building, and I think that you know, the boys are really enjoying and embracing that, really. Yeah. You touched on the consultation process earlier on. Were you part of that? Yes. And what was your input?
Well, without going into my details, I think the input was it was a fairly healthy dialogue, you know, in terms of questioning and being quite open around the proposals that were put towards us. And that was it, really. It was more of a dialogue in terms of, you know, why we think that, or how do we agree with it, or you know, areas we think we could improve. And those consultations are ongoing at the minute as well. You know, it's not just one meeting. I think that the initial one we had was very much an open forum, really, and it was a pretty good, healthy discussion.
This might be an unfair question, but I'll ask it to you anyway. If there was a new entity created in the west of Wales, no history, no identity, no fan group as such, would you be interested in coaching that team or not?
What I'd say is around that, so it is a quite unfair question to put me on the spot there, but I'd say that, look, I'm a proud Scarlet from this region, really, and I think that heritage and DNA of a club or a cause to play for is something big. And I think that that's my stance on it, and that always has been. I think that you need to be able to play for something and represent someone. And you know, for me, sitting here as a Scarlets head coach, but also as a Scarlet fan from the age of from when I was wearing nappies, really, you know, I think that it's you know, that has been a big driver for me, that we represent the club and represent the town, obviously, but further afield from there on in represent the region, and I think the DNA and heritage is very important.
If you're a casual fan of the Scarlets, you want to come down here, you want to get excited. You know, as head coach, give me a message to those casual fans why it's worth coming here Saturday night and the weeks afterwards.
Right, this is my sales pitch. So I think that, look, for me, I think what we have at the minute is a group of young guys who want to compete hard and want to represent this club. You know, that is what all I look for in terms of when I want to watch a game of rugby. You know, are a team busting to win the game? you know, and that is what we'll hold them to account. Yes, we want to play attractive rugby. Yes, we want to entertain the fans, undoubtedly, and I think it's always been sort of the way that we've been brought up, you know, in terms of playing here. But I think that ultimately what I want to see from the team is that we want to compete hard, you know, and we're prepared to put our bodies on the line, we're prepared to work hard for each other, because that is a reflection then of your ID and your DNA. And I think that that for me would be the number one thing I'd be looking at post game. Skill errors and skill. You can coach and you can make better. You know, the desire to be there and the desire to compete. That's what I really want to see, and I think the fans will you know, I think the fans will get behind anyone who's willing to give 110%, as I say.
Good.
Good sell.
Good sell.
Good question as well.